Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're re-diving deep into the life of one of Rome's most fascinating and complex emperors, Hadrian. Now, you might have heard of the big names like Julius Caesar or Augustus, but Hadrian, he was the guy who literally built the Roman Empire, as we often picture it today. He wasn't just a ruler, he was an architect, a traveler, a philosopher, and a military genius all rolled into one. So grab a snack, get comfortable, and let's explore the man who shaped an empire. Hadrian, or Publius, alias Hadrianus, was born in 76 AD in a town called Italica, in modern-day Spain. This made him the first Roman emperor to be born outside of Italy. His family was well off and had Roman roots, but this provincial background gave him a unique perspective. He lost his father at the age of 10 and was placed under the guardianship of two powerful men. One of them was his cousin, who would later become the Emperor Trajan. This connection was his golden ticket. As a young man, Hadrian was a bit of a brainiac. He was obsessed with Greek culture, so much so that he earned the nickname Greculus, or Little Greek. He loved Greek literature, philosophy, and art. This wasn't just a hobby. It would profoundly influence his entire reign. But he wasn't just a bookworm. He also served in the army, gaining valuable military experience on the Danube frontier. He was competent, disciplined, and caught the eye of his powerful cousin, Trajan. When Trajan became emperor in 98 AD, Hadrian's career took off. He held a series of important political and military posts, steadily climbing the ladder of power. He married Vibia Sabina, Trajan's grandniece, which further solidified his position as the likely heir. But the succession wasn't a sure thing. When Trajan died in 117 AD, there was a bit of drama. The official story is that Trajan adopted Hadrian on his deathbed. Some historians, however, whispered that Trajan's wife, Plotina, who was very fond of Hadrian, might have forged the adoption papers to ensure he got the throne. We'll never know for sure, but either way, at the age of 41, Hadrian became the new master of the Roman world. And what a world it was. Trajan had been an expansionist, conquering new territories and pushing the empire's borders to their absolute limit. The Roman Empire was massive, stretching from Britain to Mesopotamia, but it was also overstretched and facing threats on multiple fronts. When Hadrian took power, he made a radical decision, one that shocked the Roman elite. He decided to stop expanding. Instead of conquering new lands, Hadrian decided to consolidate. He pulled Roman troops out of Mesopotamia, which Trajan had just conquered, realizing it was too difficult and expensive to defend. This was a huge policy shift. For centuries, Rome's identity was tied to conquest. Hadrian said, "Enough." His new grand strategy was peace through strength. He wanted to secure the empire's existing borders and focus on internal stability and prosperity. This wasn't a sign of weakness. It was a pragmatic and visionary move. He understood that an empire could collapse from within if it spread itself too thin. To secure these borders, Hadrian embarked on one of the most ambitious building projects in history. He traveled more than any other emperor, visiting nearly every province of the empire. And wherever he went, he built his most famous project, of course, is Hadrian's Wall in northern Britain. This wasn't just a simple wall. It was a massive 73-mile-long fortification with forts, mile castles, and turrets. It was a clear physical statement of where the Roman Empire ended and the barbarian world began. It wasn't just for defense. It was a tool for controlling trade and movement, a symbol of Roman power and permanence. But he didn't stop there. In Germany, he built a similar frontier system, the Limes, Germanicus. Along the Danube and in North Africa, he strengthened existing fortifications. Hadrian was literally drawing the lines of his empire on the map, creating defensible, permanent frontiers. He was a micromanager, personally inspecting the troops, checking their training, and ensuring the legions were in peak fighting condition. He wanted his army to be a professional, disciplined deterrent, not just an engine of conquest. Hadrian's travels weren't just military inspections, though. He was genuinely interested in the diverse cultures of his empire. In Athens, his beloved city of the soul, he completed the massive temple of Olympian Zeus, a project that had been sitting unfinished for centuries. He founded new cities, like Antinopolis in Egypt, named in memory of his beloved companion, Antinous, who tragically drowned in the Nile. The story of Hadrian and Antinous is one of the great love stories of the ancient world. And Hadrian's grief was so immense that he deified Antinous, creating a new god whose cult spread across the empire. Back in Rome, Hadrian's architectural legacy is just as impressive. If you visit Rome today, you're walking through Hadrian's city. He rebuilt the Pantheon, the temple to all the gods, giving it the magnificent, domed ceiling that still awes visitors today. The inscription on the front gives credit to the original builder, Agrippa, a humble gesture from an emperor who is anything but. He also built the stunning Temple of Venus and Roma and his own massive mausoleum, which is now the Castel Sant'Angelo. He wasn't just building for the sake of it. He was using architecture to express his vision of a unified, cultured, and enduring Roman Empire. But his reign wasn't all peace and prosperity. Hadrian faced one major bloody conflict, the Bar Kokhba revolt in Judea. The Jewish population, who had revolted before, rose up again, likely provoked by Hadrian's decision to build a new Roman city on the ruins of Jerusalem and a temple to Jupiter on the site of the Jewish temple. This was a brutal 3-year war. Unlike his usual defensive posture, Hadrian responded with overwhelming force. The rebellion was crushed, hundreds of thousands died, and Judea was devastated. It was a dark chapter in his reign, and a reminder that even this peace-loving emperor could be utterly ruthless when his authority was challenged. As he got older, Hadrian's health began to fail. He suffered from a painful, long-term illness, possibly a heart condition, which made him increasingly irritable and suspicious. His final years were marked by political tensions and a difficult succession. He had no biological children, so he had to choose an heir. His first choice died unexpectedly. He then adopted Antoninus Pius, a well-respected senator, on the condition that Antoninus would, in turn, adopt 2 young men, the future emperor Marcus Aurelius and Lucius Verus. In this way, Hadrian carefully planned the future of the empire for the next 2 generations. Hadrian died in 138 AD after a reign of 21 years. He was a complex figure, a lover of Greek culture who could be brutally Roman, a builder of peace who oversaw a devastating war, a man of immense intellect and artistic talent who could also be paranoid and cruel. But his legacy is undeniable. He transformed the Roman Empire. He abandoned the endless cycle of conquest and instead created a stable, prosperous, and well-defended state. He unified the diverse provinces through his travels and building projects, fostering a shared sense of Roman identity. He was the architect of the Pax Romana, the Roman peace, which would last for generations after his death. The era of Hadrian and his successors is often called the Age of the 5 Good Emperors, considered by many to be the absolute peak of the Roman Empire. So, the next time you see a picture of the Pantheon-S dome or Hadrian-S wall snaking across the English countryside, remember the emperor who built them. Hadrian wasn't just another Roman in a toga. He was a visionary who redefined what it meant to be an empire, leaving behind a legacy not of conquered lands, but of enduring stone and a vision for peace. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. What do you think is Hadrian's most impressive achievement? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this journey back in time, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories from history. We'll see you in the next one.